Hello everyone, you're watching RAM24.com channel, and today we'll be taking apart Xiaomi RedMi A5. First we need to remove the SIM card tray. We use a SIM eject tool, insert it into the hole and push the SIM card tray out. Next we need to heat the back cover to approximately 70 degrees Celsius or 160 degrees Fahrenheit. We're using a heating mat, but you can also use a heat gun or a hair dryer. And after about 5 to 10 minutes we can begin separating the back cover. We use a thin plastic film, carefully insert it into the gap between the back cover and the mid-frame and slowly work our way around the edge, cutting through the adhesive. As always, be especially careful around the camera module to avoid accidentally touching or damaging the camera lenses. Also, don't insert the tool too deeply under the back cover because we don't know what components are located underneath. Please note that the back cover is also additionally glued around the camera module, so we use another tool to gently lift the cover in that area. After removing the back cover, it is a good idea to protect the camera lenses. We use a protective film for this. Please note that the film should be applied to the rim around the lenses, not directly onto the lenses themselves. Now we can remove the screws. We use a Phillips #3O screwdriver. It is best to arrange the screws on a magnetic mat or another organizing surface in order they were removed, and reinstall each screw into its original location, since the screws don't always thread properly into different holes. The screws in the lower section are the same as the others, but it is still a good idea to keep them organized separately. After removing all the screws, we can separate the mid-frame. We again use a thin plastic film, insert it into the gap between the mid-frame and the display frame near the SIM card tray opening, release a few clips, and then switch to a thicker plastic opening tool. As always, be careful around the corners because the mid-frame is held very tightly there. Also be careful around the edge of the display to avoid accidentally damaging it, since it is very fragile. Don't leave the mid-frame too quickly because it contains the fingerprint sensor, which is connected to the main board with a flex cable. We carefully work our way around the edge, releasing the mid-frame. Gently try lifting it and check where any remaining clips are still holding it in place. Once it is free, carefully lift and flip the mid-frame over, then use a non-metallic tool to disconnect the battery connector, followed by the fingerprint sensor connector. We remove the mid-frame, which contains the contact pads and antenna traces. Next, we move to the lower section. We disconnect the interconnect flex cable connector, then disconnect the coaxial cable connector. Now we can remove the subboard. Find the correct lifting point, carefully pry it up, lift it and remove it. The subboard contains the headset jack port, charging port, microphone and other components on the opposite side. As for the microphone opening, it is located in the display frame, protected by mesh and has an L-shaped channel. The microphone itself is mounted on the subboard on the opposite side. If you insert something into the microphone opening, you won't damage the microphone itself. However, you will almost certainly damage the protective mesh. The vibration motor remains in the display frame. Now we move on to the motherboard. We disconnect the cameras, carefully disconnect the rear cameras and set them aside. We can also disconnect the front camera. It is a good idea to cover the front camera lens with protective film to prevent dust or debris from getting onto it. Next, we disconnect the remaining connectors. Disconnect the coaxial cable connector, then disconnect the interconnect flex cable connector or display flex cable connector. Now nothing is preventing us from removing the motherboard. Carefully lift it by the edge and remove it. Keep in mind that the motherboard may also be lightly held in place by thermal paste on the opposite side. Okay, finally, as usual, we move on to removing the battery. As is typical for Xiaomi phones, there are brown pull tabs that first need to be folded back. We carefully fold back the tabs, marked A and B. It is very important to read the instructions printed on the pull tabs. The instructions are usually in Chinese, English, or both. The pull tab in the center should be folded as far to the side as possible so it doesn't get in the way. Then carefully pull upward on the tabs located along the edges to release the battery. Under the battery we have a transparent protective adhesive film that protects the interconnect flex cables. And that completes the disassembly. Thank you for watching, and we will see you again in our next videos, either on our Telegram channel or on our website.